This is Jack Moelmann, and today is July 4th, 2011. We're in Providence, Rhode Island, as part of the 2011 ATOS annual convention. And with us is one of the youngest people we had at this convention, I think just about the youngest, or among the youngest, Donnie Rankin. How old are you anyway?
22, actually.
22.
Would have made me the youngest organist. However, my sidekicks at this convention were younger than I am. But
anyway, welcome to this little conversation we're going to have. We're going to see how you got started, and maybe this will be an inspiration to those that watch it. Well, just how did you get started in music?
Well, growing up, you know, I was lucky enough to have parents that introduced me to a lot of different, genres of music. My dad has a very extensive collection of LPs, and actually my great-grandfather played the electronic organ, so that's where the organ originally kind of came from with me. There is a video floating around somewhere in the family of visiting my great-grandparents on my first birthday, and I'm crawling on the pedal board, so I guess that's where the music really started. But let's see, it was 1993, so when I was 4, that was my first experience with a theater organ, and my parents took my sister and I to the Akron Civic Theater for a Three Stooges festival, mainly to see what they claimed was the largest pie fight in the country, out on Main Street in Akron in front of the theater. And it was a hot summer day, so we stepped inside to see if we could find something to drink and just cool off, and started talking with the worker at the concession stand, and my dad jokingly mentioned, can we get a tour of the theater? And he ended up agreeing to it and took us on a tour around the theater, backstage, and the final part of the tour, my sister and I got to sit on the organ bench and come up out of the pit. So, and after that he sat down and played a song for us, and coincidentally enough, that song happens to be the title track from my first CD, so kind of a full circle thing there, but we'll get to that eventually, I'm sure. I personally started playing music in the middle school band. I actually started with trombone. I wanted to play the drums, but the way things worked at my school, you had to play a wind instrument before they'd let you play the drums, so I chose trombone, I guess, because I thought it was fun to make the race car sound.
You still play the trombone?
I don't have one well, actually I do have one. There's a random trombone in the basement. It belongs to one of my friends, but I can make a little bit of noise on it. I'm never really got that proficient with it, but I don't know, maybe if I get more free time it'll be something to fool around with.
Well, when I grew up, everybody took piano lessons. It seemed to be the thing to do. And when you got to high school, that was the end of it. What's been your motivation to keep going?
Well, I'll take a step back a little bit here. After starting in the school music program, very shortly thereafter, they had redone the organ at the Civic Theater in Akron, and Lynn Larson played the rededication concert. And I had a better appreciation for music than when I first heard it at 4. I thought, that's kind of fun, I'd like to try that. And we had gotten just a basic Casio keyboard for Christmas one year, and started playing with that, and then would go out to my great-grandfather's and play. He had a Con 628, and I'd play on that. And my parents were very supportive, so they found a place where I was able to take home organ lessons, and it was a sound that I liked. I really don't know exactly why I enjoyed it so much and why I stuck with it. I mean, at the time I was in Boy Scouts, and I actually ended up choosing organ lessons over Boy Scouts. And then I did the home organ lessons from about 2000 to 2002. And at that point, the teacher said, I've worked with you as much as I can. If you want to continue studying, here are names of people at the University of Akron. But she said they wouldn't take me on as a student until the practice instrument I had at home had an AGO pedal board. So it took us about 1.5 years to find something affordable that met those requirements, and my father and I went to Lafayette, Indiana, and acquired the late Carol Copeland's Con 651. And by the point we got that, I had lost all the names and numbers of the people there at the university. But I mean, when I wasn't studying with the home organ teacher this span where I was just kind of on my own, I'd listen to records, CDs, whatever I could get my hands on, and try and mimic to the best of my ability what the artist was doing. And ATOS held their first electronic theater organ competition in 2004, and I entered that in the youth division and happened to win that, and took a trip up to Milwaukee to the convention that year and got to meet all the artists and teachers and stuff like that. And I mean, that was a very surreal experience. I mean, so I think that first convention is what really got me going, because it was an absolute, powerhouse as far as conventions go. That one will always stand out in my mind. The 2.5 manual digital organs, and Jelani's concert was just mind-boggling. And I mean, Simon played at the Oriental, and it was just absolutely extraordinary. And I really wanted to stick with it and see, if I could get there at some point. And I remember Rob Richards and Jelani and John Ferguson got the opportunity to see me play in one of the demo rooms, and they all agreed that if I wanted to go any further, piano lessons would be the best thing for me to start. So in 2005, I started piano lessons and took those for 2 years. I studied with Kim Bockham of Silver Lake, Ohio, and it's interesting to note that as far as my musical education lineage, I'm like a cousin to the Gershwins, because my piano teacher's piano teacher taught George. So just a fun little thing to throw in there.
Well, when did you meet up with Jelani and start taking lessons from him? Jelani Eddington, that is.
I met up with Jelani Eddington. The first time was in 2005, actually. He came and did a concert in Cleveland, and I got the opportunity to work with him after the concert on 2 pieces. And I entered the Young Theater Organist competition in 2006. I was the only entrant. There were 2 entrants in the intermediate division, and I won the intermediate division, but since there were no other entrants, there was no overall winner declared. And then I entered again in 2007, and won the overall competition, and he actually approached me after that and said, you know, it'd probably be best if we got together and started studying. So I started lessons with Jelani in September of 2007. And it's definitely, you know, worth noting for whoever ends up seeing this someday. I live in Ravenna, Ohio, and Jelani lives in Racine, Wisconsin. So the lesson situation was rather unusual, and for about the first year, once every month, I would catch a train in Cleveland, Ohio at about 2:30 in the morning, take the train up to Sturtevant, Wisconsin, just outside of Racine, where I'd arrive at about 11 in the morning. We'd get together, get lunch, and then go to his house, and it was a 3-hour lesson. I'd go back to the hotel for the night and crash, and then get up the next morning. We'd get together for lunch again, have another 3-hour lesson, and then it was back on the train home, where I'd get home at about 3:30 in the morning. So, and as things have progressed as far as lessons go, I mean, they've become fewer and far between now, but we've kind of split it up, so I'll have a lesson in person, and then using Skype, the video chat service online, we can actually do a lesson like that. And it's not the best, but we've managed to get a lot done that way. So,
well, you've put on a terrific program here at this particular convention, and you had 2 other people with you, a drummer and a saxophone player. But you like doing with groups, or would you rather do solo, or is this just sort of a novelty thing? What do you think about it?
well, it was an experiment. I'll put it that way. Ken actually called me about this convention December of 2010, because there was no Young Theater Organist competition in 2009, so they needed to fill the block. And he said, we'd be interested in having you play, and we'd also be interested in seeing what else you have to offer. And I had done a couple of gigs with these guys, and our 4th member, the bassist, which we left him at home this time. We played at a couple of functions around our town and stuff like that. I thought it'd be fun, and so I talked to them about it. I mean, I've known them both now for about 5 years. So, and they were interested in the concept, and I joked at the concert that we were a bunch of procrastinators, and it's the truth. I mean, we started preparing for this concert about a month and a half ago. I actually passed out one of the pieces we played, let's see, 4 days before we actually performed it. So, I mean, it went over fairly well. I was a little concerned doing that, actually, because conventions like this, there's no way to please everybody. So, I mean, unless you get just the right amount of everything in there. And this was one of those things that I thought might bug a lot of people, but so far I haven't heard any of that.
You want to continue doing that sort of thing, or would you prefer just doing solo?
I think it'd be fun to continue doing that. I think there was a good balance at this convention of solo theater organ and, you know, some group stuff. I know the big subject, kind of the elephant in the room at times, is the future of the theater organ, and I think to get younger people interested, might not happen as a solo instrument. You know, it might have to be with vocalists like Mark and Anthony, or, you know, saxophone and drums like I did. I mean, organ and piano, like the orchestral stuff that Chris and Jelani did today, actually. That kind of stuff, you know, can reach a little bit broader of an audience than just theater organ.
I know you haven't been at it that long, but what's been the most exciting concert situation that you've been in, both in terms of maybe the place and the organ, and how you did it, and audience reaction?
Actually, one of the most fun things, and definitely exciting, I got the opportunity to play at the 2010 Hopeful Heart charity fundraiser at Jasper San Filippo's, and I was not billed as an organist there, since the majority of the crowd there is not, you know, organ people. I actually went there and I did some drumming along with Chris and Jelani for a couple of pieces, and then the finale of the show was actually the third movement from Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto, and I had 2 cameo pieces on, you know, the 5-manual 80 rank Wurlitzer that's in the residence there. And when I was introduced to the organ, you know, that really threw a lot of the people that just thought I was the drummer. So that was a lot of fun, you know, getting that reaction and being able to play such an incredible instrument for a good cause at that, you know.
What's been the most challenging one you had, maybe the one you'd never want to do again?
That's very easy to answer. I'll just say it's the 2007 Young Theater Organist competition. That was at a point where my technical abilities were kind of rough. I had problems playing where I'd get really shaky, and somebody mentioned beta blockers would help counteract the shaky hands. And I read online that bananas were a natural beta blocker, so I ate 3 bananas before the performance. And I like to think that I overdosed on bananas, because a side effect of beta blockers is memory loss, kind of. And I got to a point in one of the songs I was playing and drew a blank and stopped dead in my tracks. And so that made my win very controversial. And the 3 judges came up to me after and said, you know, your playing wasn't as accurate as the other person in the competition, but I played with more emotion and I played my own arrangements, is the reason that they ended up choosing me. And I got a scathing review in the Theater Organ Journal from Robert Ridgway after that, and that was very, very rough to read. I mean, it was basically written as his whole performance was a train wreck, and that was one thing that almost drove me away from all this. But I guess it's kind of good that I can be a spiteful person, because I ended up working pretty hard and presenting a very good performance at the '08 convention in Indianapolis, and that's probably another one of my highlights. That was like the first concert that I walked away from feeling just great about.
So. You got a long way to go in musical career, but what's some big ambition of some place to play that you haven't already? But I mean, do you aspire that? Maybe difficult to get there, but have anything in mind?
Well, I have crazy ideas every now and then. I know you're a man that does that too. I could say that I'd love to play at Radio City. I mean, just to, say that I've played there. But I think, like, the big goal is to get, not really where I play or what, the organ is necessarily that I play. It'd be just to have a larger following, a bigger audience, something like that. I mean, I doubt that'll ever happen unless, kids my age suddenly get a clue and realize that there's more to music than a beat and rhythmic poetry, I guess would be the politest way to put it. But I mean, I was on the bus today, headed to Shanklin's to see Chris Gorsuch and Jelani Eddington play, and I started talking with Craig Peterson, a member of the ATUS board, I believe. And he mentioned, well, he just kind of said, have you ever considered going on America's Got Talent? And that has been one of those crazy ideas that I've had, and we talked about it a little more, and it would be great exposure for the instrument, and because that's the chief problem right now is not enough people are finding out about it, and that'd be a hell of a way for people to get a taste of it. Another thing that I thought of a while ago, one time I watched the Academy Awards, and they had Yo-Yo Ma play the cello, and it was beautiful. Of course, he is really talented, but I think that a theater organ solo would have been a little more fitting, considering its original concept to accompany films. And if I could pull the strings and do that, I think I would have, hit the highlight of a musical career in the theater organ world. But at this point, I mean, I don't expect, to go like really, really, really far with it. I mean, I hope to continue playing for ATOS, the chapters, the non-ATOS groups that are out there. I mean, there are certain accolades in ATOS that, I haven't achieved, and I mean, I probably won't achieve for a while, but, it'd be, I think it'd, be highlights if I, got those someday, and you gotta work for them, so I'm gonna keep working towards them, so.
Well, are you gonna, is music gonna be your livelihood, or are you gonna do something else?
I would love to make music my livelihood. Currently I work at a CVS pharmacy as a shift supervisor, which I absolutely hate. But luckily, I mean, they're flexible there with my hours, so, I was able to be at the convention this week and go out and do concerts and the like. But I've recently gotten into photography, and I've always enjoyed cinematography. So if I could figure out a way to make a living doing concerts and taking pictures, or, I think one of my other goals would be to be the first theater organist to release a DVD. And I have no idea how I'm going to do that, because I can't play the organ and operate a camera at the same time. So, but no, I mean, I like those creative kind of things. So if I could figure out a way to, you know, support myself doing that kind of stuff, that's how I would hope to make my livelihood.
Well, it's all been very interesting, Donnie, and I think we might just want to bring this to a close. You put on a great show the other day, you and your friends.
Thank you, sir.
And we look forward to great things in the future. You're young enough. Do you want to tell them how old you are? I don't remember whether I asked or not.
I think it may have been addressed at the beginning, but we'll just recap, and I'll say that I'm 22. Let's see, let's see, today's the 4th, 18 days away from 22 and a half. So, but who's counting?
Well, you got a long way to go. And we wish you well, and I guess we'll just close it down. We're at the Westin Hotel here in Providence, Rhode Island with Donnie Rankin. It's part of this 2011 ATOS convention. 4th of July in 2011, almost the 5th of July. No, it is the 5th of July because we're just a little bit past midnight.
Yep, 10 minutes into it. So.
Yeah, so this is Jack Moelmann. We'll close this down and see you soon, Donnie.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jack.
This is Jack Moelmann, and we're here in Providence, Rhode Island.